Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Away Gooners Podcast. So this is it. This is the start of the season that we are going to talk about all the build-up about the transfers, all the build-up about the pre-seasons where we were eyeing and wooing all the time. We are here to the start. With me today to discuss about the Crystal Palace game, I've got a special guest, Luke from Give Me Sport. Hi, Luke. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm feeling a little bit outnumbered on this podcast, but I'm good.
That's what your crowd is going to do to our team when we do meet in the first match. So we just trying to give you an idea.
and before I could introduce him, he introduced himself. Arun. Hi, Arun.
Hello.
And we've got Bob back with us. Hi, Bob.
Hey, buddy. How are you going?
I'm good. I'm feeling nervous, but good.
Yes, I think it's a feeling for all of us together, isn't it? Yes.
Definitely. Especially after last season, right? I'll start off with Luke with a question on the preseason and stuff, right? Like transfer window for Crystal Palace. I know you guys lost. Do you think it's a loss to lose Gallagher in the first place?
Yeah, definitely. He offered us a lot to the team. He's a workhorse, so he would worry that attacking line against us. He'd push forward for us. It'd be really good. He did fizzle out from about March onwards. We kind of lost the best of him. I think he got COVID and then he couldn't play in the semi-final against Chelsea. So he didn't get his perfect performances that we did in the first kind of 2/3 of the season. But obviously it's a miss when you've got a player who runs like that in the Premier League and also provides some goals as well in the midfield. For a club like Palace, it's definitely a big loss.
But do you think you have replaced enough of him with the incomings this season?
That's a really hard question because we also lost. We currently lost Chiarte. It's still in arms. Apparently, there's a deal on the table, but he won't take a 1 year. He wants a 2 year, so it's probably likely he's going to go. So we've then signed Doucoure, who's actually come in more as that Chiarte replacement at the moment. We'll go more into starting 11 later, but we've seen a lot of Jeffrey Schlupp and Eze in the middle. But arguably, Eze's a bit like a new signing. Now he's had a full pre-season following a big injury. So I wouldn't say in the transfer window we fully replaced Gallagher yet, hoping for maybe another signing in the midfield. But I'm sure our middle three can do well this season. That looks like we'll be setting up with.
What about the incomings of Eboe and Richards? And I'm particularly interested about Richards because he's coming in obviously from Spain, so there's a lot of weight on him to do well.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. I know he did well at Hoffenheim last season. He's still quite young, and many American fans are very happy with the prospect of him. What Vieira did do a lot last season with even injured players or new signings, he takes his time. He won't integrate Richards probably straight away. We saw in the last pre-season game that Richards only came off the bench. I know he only signed that week, but I wouldn't be shocked to not see him start yet. I would be surprised to see. I'm going to be surprised to see where he plays because he could play centre-back, he could play right-back. And I know Vieira wants to switch to a back five in some games. So with Richards, I think it's a bit more of a wait and see. But I think he'll be very good for us squad depth wise. And as a young player, he'll probably integrate himself into the first team quite soon. Eboe is one who I know the reports said we weren't expecting him to be as good as he is. We were going to loan him out as a winger. He looks like basically a similar youngster to what Wilfried Zaha was. He loves to take players on, loves to shoot, and I've already seen him sit down Fred in pre-season against United. And the fact that Vieira wants him now in the squad is very exciting. It'll be very interesting.
Does he like Arsenal like Zaha?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Give him a couple of seasons till you lot probably start coming in for him, as well as some of our other players. Let's hope he doesn't do a transfer request this time around, though, like Zaha.
But Arun, about the pre-seasons, right? How are you feeling about the pre-season now that it's over? Do you feel confident after the pre-season, or do you feel like, yeah, it's still pre-season?
Honestly, Oh, is that question to me?
Yeah, that's for you.
Oh,
I'll come back to Luke after that.
So the thing is, like, honestly, I try not to put like too much into the preseasons, because it's basically like a chance for the team players to get some playing minutes if we do get some signings, like integration of the new signings into the existing system. They're coming from like a new place and all that. I feel super positive. I usually don't. I try not to get this positive, but like, because of what I've seen in terms of where we were last year and where we are right now, it's a lot of reason for positivity, given the signings, how they've integrated, how they've hit the ground running right away. And that also goes to show, like, the recruitment has been spot on in terms of whomever we got in right now. They knew what they wanted to do, so they got the players whose acclimatization time would be very, very little, if any. So all of this has given me a lot of reasons to be positive about. Now, again, with positivity, we know what happens with Arsenal. So I'm trying to be super wary of it. I'm trying to, like, make sure that I keep my emotions under check. I'm not like going out and saying like we're going to be doing everything, winning everything. But like, yeah, I do feel positive. I do feel like positive going into the season after a long time. I don't remember when the last time.
Now to pull that rug out of your feet, I'll ask Luke about their preseason, because you guys have scored a lot during the preseason, except against the Leeds game. I think you drew 1-1. I think you guys scored a lot. So your front line seems to be clicking. Is this? I mean, two parts to it. Is this how you see Vieira's team do, like go ahead and score a lot of goals, or is this something that is just another preseason?
It's hard. Like, obviously, when we've gone from Roy Hodgson to Vieira, then any goals being scored is a lot of goals for Palace fans. So it's definitely been a huge upgrade. But he's definitely getting us a bit more attacking and holding the ball a bit more, especially at home. But yeah, that pre-season was a bit weird. We obviously had half a squad in England and half a squad across the other side of the world. So it was quite hard to judge really until the Montpellier game on the weekend, where we scored four. So yeah, it's really good. So we just got to wait and see. It's gonna be interesting, like, as I said, we like to hold the ball up. And I think now with Eze coming back in a lot more, there should be a lot of goals for us as well. We're going to definitely concede some, but I think with a mid-table team, you take that.
So what's your personal if I call it report card for Vieira after his first season? What are your thoughts on Vieira as a coach? Because I mean, Arsenal fans love Patrick Vieira, so.
Yeah, he was also someone who was linked to take up the managerial job at Arsenal, and we know like he did for New York City and Nice as well. So like if I were to add on to like Vijay's question, now that he's completed 1 year, like of course you spoke about Hodgson and the goals that you guys were not scoring, but Vieira has improved, as we can see, a lot of things on the pitch. Like, so what has improved in the last 1 year? And where do you think you still have a lot of scope for improvement? Though you're a mid-table team right now, he has shown that you guys can punch above your weight and you can get some results, right? So where else do you think we can still fix if we were to, let's say, finish like, above where you did last time?
Yes. So overall first season, I'd definitely be giving it like a B or something. It was a rebuild. We had to let a lot of players go, which worked perfectly for us. So Vieira could bring in really good players for us. Obviously, the pros are the possession. No matter who we're trying to play against, we want to hold on to the ball. We want to pass it around the back. We will try it long balls, but they won't be long balls kind of hoping. In most cases, it'll be a planned pass. Normally, maybe Anderson pinging it across diagonally to the top left or the top right. So that's been really good. Obviously, the more goals we scored, the way we're picking up wins has been good. I think we're losing that defensive type of manager. I think you're seeing it with Burnley fans as well, with Vincent Kompany. They see him as a breath of fresh air as well. So it's just a lot more entertaining, and we're also picking up a lot of results. But obviously there has been some issues, and that's been a few mistakes. And I'd say sometimes the tactics, mistakes-wise, I know last season, a few of the games, 90th minute, we let in a few last-minute equalisers. Very draining sometimes. I think it was like one against Arsenal, actually, the two. And then against Brighton, it was all in like September. So we need to stop stuff like that. And I think I'm a bit worried about his wanting to change to a back four to a back five in games. We tried it against Man U at the last game of the season, and we were doing well until we changed it mid-game, and it didn't really work. So as I said, positives, better football. We're doing better, even though the league table won't say it. We are doing better as a team. But yeah, negatives, just of them little mistakes, which is just due to the youth sometimes in our squad. And yeah, I think his tactics, they're not always perfect, but as a learning manager like Vieira in a mid-table team, that's what you expect, isn't it?
But do you expect him to stay longer, or are you guys having like a timer set to him? Like, oh yeah, if you don't do this by this time, like Arsenal fans, we always have a timer with our managers. So
there's always a knife hanging above the head of the Arsenal manager.
Yeah, it's not as bad. It's not as bad here. I think you can't fault him for a moment. Let's say if we're still getting the type of players we're getting in a couple of years, and we're still keeping the players we've got, top 10 needs to be an achievement for him. And if he can't get that after, like, let's say 3 or 4 years, then you'd start to think. But at the moment, I don't think there's any Palace fan who has a timeline for him. And the only issue with former players like Vieira is they're always going to be looking at an Arsenal or a City, aren't they? So if he does well, it's more going to be if a bigger team comes in for him.
All the talks of Arsenal fans, mentioning all over the years that we've not been replacing Vieira, and finally we've replaced him with the namesake.
Just for the name. Don't start doing that, Bob. Don't stop hyping a player.
No, I have to bring this
we
up.
haven't seen anything of. Stop doing that. But Bob, actually, I wanted to ask you something, right? Like last season, we started the game against Brentford away, which is a hard place to go, especially with the fans.
We made it hard, mate. Seriously.
No, but they are a team that came up. So obviously the environment is going to be like that. Like, the noise in the stadium was a lot, and we had a lot of troubles. I'm not giving another explanation of why we lost that game, but again, going through Crystal Palace on a first game away with that fans, how do you feel about that?
See, I think every game is going to be important. We have to just really press on from whatever that we lost. Obviously, the loss against Palace was completely out of proportion. If you just look back, it was in April, so it's not a long time back. And considering what we've strengthened so far in the summer, it just makes us feel good on the paper. But it doesn't matter if we don't go out and perform there. And then get a result out. And mind you, Crystal Palace too started off with the London Derby last season when they played Chelsea, I think, at home or away. I'm not sure, but yeah,
away from home, yeah.
Yeah. So it's good. It's good. Their start is going to be pretty much the same as to what they were last season. And for us, it's a difficult place to go. It's always a difficult place to go, even it was under Hodgson, I would say. So it's not going to be easy, but then we'll have to stand up for it, and then we'll have to try and get the result that we want. I mean, obviously Luke won't agree, but yeah, I think.
I mean, obviously this is like kind of a real test rather than a preseason game or something. And then, like, for me, this would prove what this Arsenal team is right now. But Luke, regarding the starting 11, right? Like, what is going to be Crystal Palace starting 11? You mentioned that Vieira did the back 3, back 4, kind of like back 5, back 4. So what is going to be the starting 11 for Crystal Palace this game?
Yeah, so it is I think it's quite hard. Some of the positions speak for themselves, but I think in goal we're going to have Gaita, obviously. Johnston's got injured and Butland's injured, so Gaita's the only one. Right back, Vieira played Ward on the last game, so I'm going to say he's going to go with him over Klein, but that could change. He could go with Klein for a bit more pace, but again, that position, even last season, it was 50-50 every game. You'll stick with the rest of the defence. I'm going to say a back 4. Anderson, Gahey, Mitchell. Then the middle 3, I think it is going to be Doucoure, Slut, and Eze. And then Elise's injured at the moment, so probably Ayew, Zaha, and then I know Ødegaard scored twice on the weekend, but I do think Vieira might still favour Mateta in this game, when we might just need an outlet to hold the ball.
Yeah, we hate that guy.
How big of a miss is MacArthur and Olise?
Yeah.
Especially when you consider the five sub rule. right? Like there's going to be 5 subs from this season onwards. So how's that miss going to work out?
Yeah, obviously McCarthy's a big loss. He actually had an injury, came back in pre-season, has got the injury again. He is getting old now, but he runs that midfield really well. It's Elise's the bigger loss, in my opinion. I know somehow IU scored against you lot last season, which should just
that's like things that happen for sure in a year is IU scoring against Arsenal. Like you can discount everything else, he's going to score like a ghost goal from somewhere. Yeah.
So I know he does do the work defensively, so that's fine. But Elise is just on the ball. You just don't know what he's going to do. Can use both feet. I know he created the most chances per 90 with players over 1,000 minutes. I saw that stat. I know he did a lot less minutes than a lot of other players, but still, he's just terrifying on the ball. So they'll both be big losses, and it'll just be interesting to see how we play it when it gets to maybe the 50th, 60th minute mark, if it's still neck and neck.
Mm-hmm. But is this going to be like you mentioned also about like Vieira doing this kind of tactic switch in game? So do you think around like with the 5 subs and everything, do you think the strategy of the team, like from a passing team, would you change it to something in game?
Honestly, it's personally, like, as we said, if the game's decent, then I wouldn't be changing the back 4 until late on. I don't even know if Vieira's going to start with a back 4 or back 5. It's really hard to tell with him, in my opinion. But I still think his strategy will be, we're going to pass the ball around, create the chances, try and starve them off possession. I know against Arsenal, that is a lot harder. We will, but the thing is about Palace, we can also use the counter-attack. We do have the speed. So it's going to be interesting. I'd try and keep it as the same formation for as long as possible if we're in the game, and then revert if needed late on. But yeah.
I've got a question, mate. How different is this Arsenal team compared to the one that you just recently played?
Well, there's no Tavares, so that's a huge loss for Palace.
So, we are happy for that too, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So that's honestly, I remember that I was at the game last season at Selhurst, and my God, that was one of the worst performances I've seen by a fullback in a long time. He had the pace, but everything else was just missing. But yeah, it's definitely different. You've got a prolific striker now who's also shown it in pre-season, which I think was bigger than your results, to be honest. If you had Jesus scoring in pre-season, I think that was a big worry for me, more than signing him. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but it's a very different team, in my opinion. I think they matured a lot. I know they still lost out, but they've had another pre-season now, and yeah, I think with their Arsenal being quite young, there is always that area of composure, lack of composure. So that'll be interesting to see how they go with that. But yeah, if you're talking about compared to that last season, there's a big jump with the signings you've made.
I don't about the starting line, right? Like line up for Arsenal. Are you seeing any change from the one that started against like Valencia?
Sevilla.
Valencia, Sevilla.
Oh, Sevilla. Sorry, yeah, my mistake.
I don't see any changes. I think like we'll go with, because we have only those players of the right quality available. KT is not ready yet. Tomi is not ready yet. So which means that we'll have to start with Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, and White at the back. And that's like Luke just said, the absence of Nuno and the fact that we do not have to play Cedric already adds a lot of positivity and confidence to any Arsenal fan going into this game. So that's a big improvement. And then we'll have Partey, xhaka, and ødegaard pick themselves in the team, and then we'll have Martinelli, Saka, and Jesus, the shiny new toy that we got. So this is going to be the starting lineup. The fact that we have 5 subs means that we'll get to see a lot of the other players coming in and getting chances as well. So, but this would be the lineup I believe that we'll be going in. It's probably the strongest lineup that we have given the people that we have right
now. So we'll go around about the the players to watch out for in the game. Luke, I would like your opinion from a Crystal Palace perspective. Who do you think would be the player that would, or players who would make the difference, or who has the ability to make the difference?
Are we talking about from a Palace for the Palace squad?
Yeah.
Okay. Palace squad, it's definitely Zaha as always, but I keep on talking about in this Eze. I just think he's been on fire in pre-season, full pre-season now after that big injury. Vieira integrated him really slowly. There were questions about how slowly he was doing it, but he clearly showed that he did that right at the end of last season. Got full pre-season under his belt, and he's so creative. So for me, him and Zaha are definitely the ones to watch. Mateta will be a menace. That could go either way with him, but yeah,
we have got Saliba now, mate. We have got Saliba now. No more of Mateta.
Yeah. And then
well, at least that's what we like to hope.
Yeah, definitely.
There you go. Arun just bursting my balloon of happiness.
Yeah, but then as well, sorry, just quickly, ødegaard, if he is starting or coming off the bench, he adds different dynamic to Mateta, so it's really interesting to see that. But yeah, they're the main ones. I'll let you lot talk about Arsenal, but one I will say is Martinelli. I think this is a big game for him with Smith Rowe definitely out injured. This is his chance to cement his place. So surely he's going to be coming out of the blocks, and that's one of the ones I'm worried about.
In terms of the key battles, right? The one that I could really think of, which would be interesting, is Michel versus Saka. What are the other key areas that you think be very crucial for both the teams, and who do you think the duel should be against?
It's interesting. I guess maybe whoever you have a right back, like a Ben White, maybe whoever he comes up against, that'll be interesting. I know he can play there if it is him, but if we have Wilfred Zaha there, it is always going to be tricky. And then just Jesus against our Anderson and Gahey. That's going to be really interesting. At Selhurst Park, we did manage to hold Kane to like maybe only one touch in the box, I think it was, and Lukaku didn't have a single touch.
We are very happy about that.
Yeah. But try to help you lot out as much as possible. But yeah, and then Lukaku as well. He had minimal touches, but Jesus is a different type of forward, isn't he? So him against them two, it's going to be really interesting. And I just think ødegaard against our midfield, really, like a Doucoure, is someone going to be on him constantly? Are they going to let him a bit of free space? Because I think he's one to watch this season.
But also, like, because you guys are like kind of not your first choice goalkeeper, how much of that is weighing down on your mind?
Not too much. We've had Gaita in before. I know he's getting older now. His shot stopping still really good. He did do a mistake in pre-season, which was a slight deflection, but I think at the moment we'll just accept that as it is. We've always had him, so I don't think there'll be any fear in our heads. So yeah.
Okay. Johnson is a smart buy. I mean, it's not a buy literally. It's a smart transfer, and I think there is indication that he might be out of the game. The recent injury, so. Yeah, that's something. I mean, I would say a big loss, because I probably thought if we'd been fit, he would have started ahead of Guhi. So yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what happens when he comes back in. Because even we had Butland who came in as well. We were him and Gaita when Gaita had an injury. So yeah, you would expect Johnston to be the one to cement his place as the season goes on.
Bob, on the Arsenal side and from our end, who do you see from Crystal Palace as a person who we should be a little bit scared about, and who are the difference makers from Arsenal's perspective?
Luke has already shown praises on Zaha, so I'm not going to touch upon that further. But yeah,
I mean, we can. He's still an Arsenal fan. I would accept that. That's fine.
Yeah, no,
it's Mateta that I wouldn't accept anything from you.
No, I think, I don't want to touch upon that any further. I feel, I mean, it would be interesting to see how we can tackle Doucoure, because he's new to the team. He's not as much settled as the other midfielders that they had in McArthur or, Gallagher, for example. So it's going to be interesting. If you look at the last game, the way that we won, or the way that we lost the game is obviously in the midfield. And that
would have loved it to be a 1, but we didn't.
So. No, we didn't. But I was meant to say they won, but sorry, slip of tongue. Yeah, so they won the battle in the midfield, and that's a key one that we'll have to hold on to if at all we were to get any result from there. So it would be interesting to see how we press. I know the preseason has shown us that we've been pressing tenfold more than what we did last year, even by the guise of it. But so we have to see how we turn that out, or how we turn up on that day to try and win the duels, and then sort of press up, try and retain the ball, and then find ourselves in dangerous areas that we can try and create a difference. So that's where the key battles, I feel, would be.
Fair enough. One last thing about the key battle, Luke, is the battle between the managers, right? Vieira versus Arteta. So if I were to ask you your opinion on Arteta, because he's been for some time, we talk always about our managers a lot, but we want to know what's your opinion on Arteta as being a manager.
It's like, this is obviously his first role as a manager, so it's not going to be perfect, is it? And no matter who he was assistant manager to, it's a completely different job when you're the main man. Saying that, though, I think he has changed the spirit around Arsenal, which was probably the biggest thing. No matter how you did in the league table, I think getting a few of them players out who probably weren't the best personalities, having more of a team spirit, and I think getting a lot more backing from the fan base was huge for him to do. He did lose to the top 4 race, but I
is
think
that how
just
you guys see
it
as that the race was lost? Because Arsenal was never meant to be in a top 4 in the first place.
Yeah, no, I completely get what you mean. It's just like, let's say you weren't in the name for the title race and you were close to the top or at the top, and then you've final few games you've missed out. To me, just like the top 4 race, it is, you guys had the chance, and then because you had that slight advantage, you lost it, in my opinion. But I do think that is, again, just due to experience. At the end of the day, like the Spurs game, Conte is far more experienced manager. It was a big season for Arteta with no Europe, so now he's got to battle that. But I think now, with how fans saw that team last season and how they're seeing Chelsea kind of perform at the moment, it's going to be interesting. But I think many will think Arsenal will have a big chance top 4 this year compared to last.
Yeah.
You got to tell that to Rio Ferdinand, mate.
So, Luke, I just have one question. I know we spoke a little about Doucoure coming in, him replacing CRYARS and all that. I am very interested in Doucoure because I know his name was always mooted to be one of the names joining, and you got the dude on a really good deal. I think you paid 25 to 30 million for a player of his quality.
20 million, if I'm not wrong.
20 million?
Yeah.
Oh, that's even less. He has a pretty good reputation coming into the league because he's supposed to be a destroyer sort of a player. I would have loved to have him in place of as a replacement for Partey in case things go south. But what are your expectations for Doucoure for the rest of the season? What role do you see him performing in this team with Vieira that is aiming to play progressive football, in the presence of someone like him is going to make a huge difference? So what do you expect from him for the rest of the season? Do you see him becoming another Patrick Vieira?
I like what you did there. In pre-season, he's been that defensive midfielder, and not only has he been defending, he's been pinging some passes, big passes, finding the player as well. So I think a lot of him might be getting that tackle in and trying to switch the defense to attack quickly. So that's going to be really important for him. Obviously, he's still quite young. Leaves around 22. So there's still a lot to learn. But Vieira really wanted him. He was the top target. So I think that means a lot when Vieira was such a good midfielder. I expect him to have a solid season. I'm not going to judge him too much at the start, especially with a big game against Arsenal. You've got to give him a few weeks, a month or so to gel. But I do expect him to be one of our standout players, to be honest, based on what I've seen so far and what I've heard from other people. And from how much Vieira wanted him. And
one last question, do you see Zaha staying at the club at the end of the season?
yeah, to the
I
end.
think this, like, are you scoring against Arsenal and Zaha wanting to leave Crystal Palace or something that happens every season? So
It's different now. We got Vieira. It's a completely different game. He likes it, but a big thing as well is he's got 1 year left, so he could leave on a free next season and actually get bigger wages than he has now. I think that's a big issue for any club. If they're going to pay a certain fee for him, they also got to pay him more than what he's already earning at us, and he's definitely our top paid player because of that 5-year contract he did. So I definitely think a lot of Palace fans are saying it's the last dance for Wolf this summer, this season. And if it is, then he's clearly going to play out of his skin even more because he's going to want to sign for a club he was battling in Europe or something, isn't he, on a free? So I think either way, it's a win-win. We've had him for a lot longer than anyone expected. So
right.
Yeah.
But getting back to the game, so I think we are almost at the end of our discussion, and I would like to get your predictions on how this game is going to be. Look, your prediction. I'll start off with your predictions for the game.
It won't be as easy as at home last season, I'll tell you that much. But I'm going to be slightly positive. I think it's good. I'm going to go 2-1 Palace. Home form. We've got nothing to lose. There's a lot of pressure on you lot to succeed that first game. All eyes watching. That's 2-1.
And do you want to predict who the scorers or assist makers are going to be for you, Lat?
Oh, I'll give Zaha and Edward, and then assists are too hard, but I'll say Eze will be involved somehow in a goal. So yeah.
Okay.
Arun, you want to go next?
As positive as I am, I know, like, it's the first game of the season. There's going to be jitters for sure. And like the thing that we keep talking about, the Palace crowd, they keep drumming from minute 1 to minute 90. Like, it's the atmosphere that you want, but not as an opposition team. So I think that would get to the players.
Did you see the, sorry to cut you, but did you see the Arsenal preparation before the Liverpool game where they had...
So we would have had like drums playing in the training. They're probably playing like training with the drums on. But still, I don't think that is going to like help as much as we believe it would. And I think we'll end up having like a 1-1 draw with Saka scoring a goal for us. I'm sure like we'll pick up more points as we go for the next 15 games before the World Cup, but I'm not like as confident about a win with this
one. Okay. Bob, do you want to go next? I mean, you're the only one left, so you have to go next.
Unfortunately, don't have a choice. But I feel that we might snatch an away victory here. That's how it seems like. I mean, Palace are just setting in, and it's the right time to sort of face them, try and get that win. But it would be interesting to see how we could press up and then sort of impose our game on them against a hostile crowd. I mean, a very vocal crowd. So yes, it would be interesting. But I still feel we'll be coming away with a win. I mean, of course, we'd be conceding 1 goal is what I could think of. 1-2 is the result in mind. And in terms of who's likely going to score, Mateta for Palace is what I can think. And then for us, it would be Saka and Jesus.
Jesus opening the account for Arsenal. That's good to hear. Thank you so much, Luke. Thanks for joining in. It's been an amazing discussion. Hope we could have you again at least once more at the season when you guys come to visit us. For the listeners, please do like, share, and subscribe, and comment in your predictions, your thoughts on the game, and follow Luke in Twitter. He puts out a lot of good content right there. And I mean, the deluded fan in me wants Arsenal to win 10-0, but we will see what happens. So thanks, everyone. Thanks. Yeah, Arun, go ahead.
But did you give the score prediction? Your score prediction?
No, I'm not giving score prediction.
You're wishing for a 10-0, but you never gave anything.
He said he's deluded, mate, so don't take it.
So yeah, the deluded fan always wants a 10-0 victory. So thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining in. It's been amazing talking to you as always. See you next week. Bye.